Hello again and thanks for stopping by. My name is Fiona and welcome. I'm making a series at the moment about how I lost 35 kilograms in 2024. In my previous two videos I talked about my 5 P's for success. Those 5 P's to success being your purpose, your plan to prepare, proceed and persist. Outlined what those 5 P's involve. Today I'm going to go and give you a bit more detail on the final 2 P's, which is to proceed and to persist. In part 2 of this video I included a recipe for the Greek salad that I said that I took to work for lunch probably about 90% of the time that I was on my weight loss journey. And today I've got a demonstration on how I make that salad. It is pretty much just a standard Greek salad, but it will give you an idea of the quantity that I would make up in order for that salad to stretch to 4 lunches from me, making it easy to just grab it and go in the morning. Also, just wanted to outline a handful of tips as well. Once you are on this journey of things that I did to manage to persist and keep going, and a majority of the little tips and tricks are really to do with your mindset. In part 2 of this video I mentioned that I did have a cupboard set aside in my kitchen that was purely for the food that I was eating and the shakers that I was using to make my diet shakes. And so as part of that, what I did was I had the mindset that was my food. The rest of the food in the pantry and the kitchen was my family's food, it wasn't mine. The only food that was available to me was that food that I had in that cupboard, and that really helped me to stay on track. Another tip that I have for you, knowing the amount of calories in the foods that you are eating. And once you've worked that out for one meal, obviously if you're having that meal multiple times, you already know what the composition of that meal is as far as your calories and your proteins, carbs and fats go. So even though you are doing a bit of work early on to know exactly the number of calories that you are consuming, it does get easier and less work as you go along. You just know that the calories in the different foods that you're eating fit into the plan that you have. Another thing to be mindful of is portion control. It does help to have a smaller plate or a smaller bowl that you're having your salad in. So I used a slightly smaller dinner plate when I had meals, a slightly smaller bowl for my salad, and at work I had a container that I knew was about the same size as the bowl I was using at home. So rather than have a big plate or bowl with a little bit of food in it, if you have a smaller plate or bowl that's full, it really tricks your mind into feeling like you're having more food. The other tip I would have is if you are feeling hungry, for instance, it might be about an hour away from dinner and you're like, oh, I really want to eat something, have a big glass of water and say to yourself, look, I'll have a big drink of water and then I'll wait 10 minutes and see if I still am hungry enough to want to have something to eat, or if at that point I feel like I can hold out till dinner time. That way you're not only getting the extra water that you're trying to consume, you may find yourself not reaching for that snack and those extra calories that are included in your plan. Another thing to do also is just to keep busy. So when you're on this weight loss journey, maybe at the same time you would have some sort of project that you might be working on, whether that be gardening or some sort of arts or craft type project, whatever you're interested in. But yeah, if you keep busy, obviously you're less likely to be thinking about the fact that you might be hungry and looking for something to snack on. I was some sort of diet person. I remember that toured Australia a few years ago and there was this sort of almost extreme, I suppose, view that he was promoting, with the idea being that he was thinking of foods that he was consuming as like cut glass and things like that, which seems a bit out there. But what you can also do is be honest with yourself about what's in your food. So if you have a packet of crisps, for example, you could look at that packet of crisps and say, okay, that's a bag of fat and plant producing food. Or you could look at a cupcake and say, okay, that's white flour and sugar. And that may also assist you to be sort of transparent almost about the food that you're eating and call it for what it is. So a salad would be lots of fibre and protein that's going to keep me full and make me healthy, whereas a soft drink is just liquid sugar and full of calories. Another thing you could do, which seems fairly obvious I suppose, is just to say to yourself when you're looking, for example, at a McDonald's burger, just to say to yourself, look, I'd rather have the body that I want rather than that burger. And I guess if you did end up eating the burger, maybe be conscious when you finish of how satisfied you are with it. Was the expectation of that burger really more than the actual experience? Are you finished eating it and thinking, it actually wasn't really that good and I don't feel that full? And then the next time when you're tempted to have it again, you can remember that that was the outcome and perhaps not do it that time. Also, obviously, depending on how much weight you've got to lose, and because you've done all those calculations that we talked about in my previous videos, you know how long it's going to take you to get there. So even if you are really craving panna cotta or tiramisu and you're like, oh, I just really want some, you know that it's not going to be forever. There is going to come a point in time where you can have that and enjoy it and have it as an occasional food. But you need to be disciplined for this period that you've identified in order to get to that point. Also, I had my weekly weigh day on a Monday morning. So I purposely picked Monday morning because what that meant was that I was likely to be more strict over the weekend. If I had my day that I was going to weigh myself, for example, on a Friday, then I'd feel like I could let loose a bit on the weekend and have time to make it up before the following Friday. But with a weigh day on a Monday, I was really conscious over the weekend of I want to see that reduction in that number on the scale. So it did actually keep me in check over the weekend, so that was helpful as well. And I think just weighing myself once a week, I know some people would prefer to weigh themselves every day, and that's fine. But I think in that circumstance, I'd get too obsessed about the numbers, and if I went up a couple of 100 grams or something, I'd be quite disappointed in that and potentially console myself with that Tim Tam. So I think just the once a week weighing myself, I found most weeks I lost something. There was a couple of weeks there where the scales didn't change at all, and I think perhaps in my 10 months of being on the weight loss journey, there was maybe 1 week where I actually gained weight. Apart from that, I always lost something, and it was anywhere up to 1 kilo a week, sometimes a little bit more. So that was also encouraging to just keep going, to just see those numbers slowly coming down. Another tip, if you can manage it, if it's something you can do, obviously, is not have the food in your house that you don't want to eat. So it's a lot easier to resist those Tim Tams if you don't have any in your house at all. Obviously, if you have other people in the family that eat certain foods that you really like, you're just going to need to do my other tip and just have in your mind that that's not your food. But if you can completely not have that food in your house at all, that's a lot easier then to resist. And I guess also in the same vein, make sure that you have all the food that is on your plan, that you are eating, available to you. So stocked up, make sure you don't run out. I had a mindset as well in my head that no matter what else I did on a Sunday, I had to make that salad for the coming week. It was a non-negotiable, so that I wasn't left without the food that I was meant to be eating, and therefore risking eating food that wasn't going to assist in my weight loss journey. So speaking of the salad, let's go ahead and make it. I've got all my ingredients that I need laid out here, ready to
chop up and put into my container. So some Lebanese cucumbers, some cherry tomatoes. I normally just get whichever small tomatoes are on special. The red capsicum, could also use a green capsicum if you wanted. Red kidney beans and some pitted Kalamata olives, my massive jar from Costco. Also got a block of Fetta cheese. This is the one from Aldi, a 200 gram block of the Fetta. Also, I have some continental parsley and also some mint. Good idea at this point also to have an assistant in case anything drops onto the floor while you're making your salad. Cue assistant. And I also like to add some dried Italian herbs as well, just for some extra flavour in the salad. A word on the containers. This is an old Tupperware container, and it's a 4.2 litre container that I use for my salad. The reason I really like this one is because it has this ridge on the bottom of the container, which keeps your salad kind of from just sitting in the liquid as you have it for a few days. This is a similar one from Kmart. Same idea, it has a insert in it that keeps the ingredients out of the liquid to a degree. Also, both of them have these breathing holes, so depending on what you're storing in the container, you either have those open or closed. It just makes the salad last longer. Here we go, chopping up the Lebanese cucumber. Don't be too harsh on my chopping, I'm not a chef. I've also got a standard metric cup measure there to show you the amounts that I'm using. So just chopping up the Lebanese cucumber into slices and then into halves and into the salad container. So with the cucumber, there's 2 full cups of that, so quite generous cups. When I'm using one of the bigger long Lebanese cucumbers, it generally takes one of those, but these ones aren't that big, so I'm using end up using about 2.5 of these size cucumbers to get that full 2 cups in the container. I've also got the cherry tomatoes that I've rinsed. Just chopping those in half. I also chop off the little hard bit at the top, whatever that's called. Not necessary, but I'm a bit pedantic. So just chopping all those into half into my cup measure as well. So there's the 2 cups of the Lebanese cucumber in the container already, and also doing 2 cups of the cherry tomatoes. What I find is that it generally takes about 1.5 of the size of the punnets that you buy in the supermarket. Cherry tomatoes all chopped into the container onto the capsicum. Just generally, if it's a larger capsicum, I just use half, but this one's not that big, so I'll probably use all of it for this one. Just chopping off the stalk into slices and then just roughly chopped. So 2 cups of the cucumber, 2 cups of the tomato. With the capsicum, it's just 1 cup. Capsicum's done, onto the red onion. Once again, this is a relatively small red onion, so I'll use the whole of this one. If it's a larger one, I probably only need half, but once again, a metric cup of the red onion, sliced or diced any way you like. I generally just cut it in half and then slice it into relatively fine segments, separate them out and put them into the salad as well. So a cup of the red onion. Red onion into the container. Time to go into the beans. I've strained and rinsed the beans. I find that the whole tin is only just a bit more than a cup, so I put the whole lot into it in this instance. Onto the olives, once again a cup of the olives. So far we've got 2 cups of cucumber, 2 cups of the tomatoes, 1 cup of the capsicum, 1 cup of the red onion, and 1 cup of the pitted Kalamata olives in there as well. Time to go on to the Italian herbs, generous handful, toss them in as well. that's what it's looking like at the moment. A quick clean up of my board and time to do the herbs. So I just get the parsley and the mint, chop off the top, basically put them into the salad spinner to rinse. Give them a good spin to drain as well. And then I just go on to chop the fresh herbs, which really are the icing on the cake for this salad. The mint especially gives it a really nice flavour. What I do initially is just take out any excess stalks, particularly for the mint, because that's quite thick, that stalk. I do take out some of the stalks of the parsley as well, but leave the smaller ones. And then I go on to chop these herbs up quite finely. It's just what I tend to do, a habit I've gotten into, I suppose. You could equally just chop them quite roughly and put them in there as well. But what I do is add some baby spinach generally at the time that I'm serving up my salad as well, so I kind of have those larger leaves in it at that point. So yeah, I do tend to chop up these herbs quite finely, as you can see there. Put those herbs in there as well. And now it's time to cut up that feta. So I'm going to use the whole 200 gram block of the feta in this salad. It's also just full fat feta, it's not a light feta. As I said in my previous videos, we're not really worrying too much about fats in the program as long as they're healthy fats. So avocado, olive oil, olives, feta cheese is fine. I also have full cream milk every day in my large coffee that I allow myself. Give that salad a stir with the slotted spoon I use for the olives, and it's pretty much ready. So that's what the salad looks like. And like I say, that big container will last for 4 days for me in the fridge. It has a guide here that tells you whether to leave the vents open or closed depending on the food that's in there. And each day when I'm serving this salad up, I also drain the big container over the sink before serving it to get rid of any excess liquid. On serving, I'd have some protein. This is the Serena tuna in oil, and also this is the Aldi balsamic dressing that I really like.
Have that mindset that you're not punishing yourself, you're actually rewarding yourself with good food, tasty food that's going to help you achieve your goals and make you feel healthier and happier in the long run. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon.